Hi guys, I have another Copic and coloring tutorial for you today. I am coloring Christmas Angel Ellie from the Paper Nest Dolls. She's a super adorable little stamp. She was released last month. She's a digi and I love having a lot of digis because I can print them out as I like and in what size I like and everything, but I have a tendency to end up printing them about the same size, between 3.5 and 4 inches high. It all depends on design for design. This specific one is printed at 4x4, so she's almost as wide as she's high, so I made her 4 inches high and she ended up being about 4 inches wide. I am going through with my favorite skin color of right now, which is the E04, E11, E21, E00 and E50, which gives her not super pink, a little bit more of a muted pink tone. And I'm going over with the colors twice. First to kind of define where I want all my shadows, and the secondly just to blend, to give it a better blend around the skin. Her hair color is actually the same hair color that I used on my previous video, but you will see here that when you leave a lot less of the light, this hair color actually ends up being relatively dark. So it all depends on how much you put on of the color, how much you leave in the lighter colors. That actually tells you which color it is. So it's more a light brown instead of a very light blonde. Then I'm taking away the E40 and adding the E44 to get just a deeper tone of brown, which the E40s are very muted and very nice, so they go with a lot of different color schemes. So as I gonna use some greens and some reds for her to this time actually do a very traditional Christmas colored little angel, then I wanted the rest of the colors to be a little bit more muted so that the color would stand out and be the focal point. So I'm using 4 different colors of green here. This is just because I wanted to have a specific depth to it. So, and I use 4 pens mostly because of then I can have them pretty close to each other and still get the depth. If you choose 3 pens, sometimes you might have issues, or if you choose 2 pens, you can have issues with blending. If you choose 3 pens, you kind of have to decide if you want to have really much contrast or if you want to blend easily. So I choose 4 pens because then I both get the easy blend and the higher contrast. So that's why I use that. I only use 3 colored pens in her wings, but I'm adding the 0 marker to kind of just blend out those grays to look more white. And then for the reds, I'm actually just using 3 pens because the details are so small that 4 pens would be, you won't get that same thing with 4 pens, but also as it is so small, 3 pens will give the same dimension, and the pens don't have to blend as good if you use them on smaller areas. The smaller the area is, the less the pens actually needs to be blendable. The bigger the area you color something, the more you have to think about that the pen should be able to blend good. And then I'm cutting her out. When I'm cutting my images, I really like to have this hand cut look. I have had cut by machine, but I personally prefer to have this hand cut look because you have different amounts of white at different places, and I kind of like that. Now for the rest of the card, I'm using a paper pad by My Mind's Eye called Sheos, which is a Christmas pad. I think it's new. And I'm gonna use 2 papers. One for the background, I'm using this blue. I actually pick the red and greens to coordinate with this pattern papers. Then I'm cutting out this little Merry Christmas note and bird, because I thought that would be perfect as a sentiment. Sometimes you don't need to stamp a sentiment, you can actually just pick one out from your pattern papers, and I really like to use that too. I do love my stamps, I have a lot of them, but sometimes pattern papers is nice. I'm using some slate grey cardstock by Simon Says Stamp for all of the matting, and I'm matting all of my different paper pieces because I personally very much like to have that edging onto the papers. They are separated better, and therefore you can actually have more busy papers next to each other because you have that separation. I kind of like that. And then I'm just I made that sentiment 4 inches long, so it will go over the whole card. The card I'm doing is a A2 size card, so it's 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and then I'm doing all the mats and papers just 1/8 of an inch smaller all the time, so the mat becomes 4 1/8 by 5 3/8, and the pattern paper then goes to 4 5 1/4. And then I have some foam tape on her, and you really don't need that much foam tape for the stickiness, because this tape sticks really good. I use all that foam tape because I want to have the stability behind her, so when I put her into an envelope, so it don't get all crushed in the middle where I don't have foam tape, as I have foam tapes all over it. So that was the card for today. I hope you like it. If you do, please thumbs it up, it means a lot to me. If you have any questions, just comment down below, and all of the details of the card is down below. And here you have 2 annotated videos that is Halloweeny by the Paper Nest Dolls 2.